Peter, you know, I think I know what I did. I think I clicked on the little camera.
Yeah, maybe you can get in before I get there. So I didn't know that was possible, but you must have done that.
I didn't either.
You had it set while you could join beforehand?
Say that again?
What was that?
You know what? I kind of think that was a delayed... Oh, no, he's back.
I was saying maybe it's because...
Oh, you're cutting in and out, Lee.
I was saying maybe it's because you had it set up beforehand.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're here now. I hope... I know Valerie's at another meetup tonight, and you know, a few people aren't showing up, so it'll be us.
Okay, now I've got...
I'm not sure if I'm...
Hold on a moment.
I'm not sure if I'm delayed or not. So as soon as you hear me stop, as soon as you hear me say the word now, let me know when you actually hear that. Now.
Now.
I hear it now.
Okay, that's quite...
I don't think you're delayed anymore.
Yeah, no, you weren't. It didn't sound like a delay there, so. Just gonna check my...
There's about like 3-4 seconds before you actually said it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, really?
Interesting. Oh. Connection speeds a little.
Did you say Dimitri wasn't coming in?
Oh, I don't know if he's coming in. I didn't see it on the RSVP, so not sure. I was listening to Ron Paul today, setting up for our freedom discussion.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I don't know many people who are better at explaining economic freedom than Ron Paul, but
I'm not quite sure.
He is one of the best.
Ron Paul is a congressman in the United States. He ran for office in 2008 and 2012, but he's just very sort of educated in terms of economic policy, and it's kind of strange how much freedom comes down to transactions and money and things like that. So it was fun listening to him again today. I haven't listened to him in a little while. I've been listening to his son, Ron Paul, but listening to Ron Paul was kind of cool. I also listened to David Eagleman. Sorry, go ahead.
If you want to know who he is, I'll post a link in the comments part.
Okay.
And I'll give you, my take on who he is.
Okay.
I actually wrote something on him about being a man of character, where there's so few of those.
Very
right.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to start the show. So like always, we're going to start with the moment of appreciation, then move on to the joke of the week, and then to the great idea. And we're going to have a sort of general conversation about freedom today. So it's an open-ended. It could be about anything. I have some points or some things to talk about related to that, but it's just an open-ended conversation. And I imagine I'll be asking you what you think freedom is and what it means to you. Sound good?
Yeah, I see the link. Thank you, Lee.
Okay, I'll join in as best I can, but I do still have that delay because I see your lips moving and then the sound is like...
Oh.
Or sorry, the sound comes and then your lips are moving, so there's definitely a delay there.
Strange.
Okay. Make sure that anything that uses the internet is closed if you can, like Skype or background YouTube page or something like that. Well, I mean, I think it's Lee, because if you're not hearing me at a delay, Joanne, I think it's just Lee, but we'll see.
I'm gonna quit Skype anyways, but.
Okay.
No, it's my connection. I still haven't changed my router that I have with Videotron yet, and I really should.
Yeah, well, I changed it just like a week or so ago. We had to change it because it died on us. and now my speed is doubled. I'm very happy that.
Wow.
And it was kind of annoying. Yeah, we had to have a guy come into the house and check it out. And if the problem wasn't the router, then we'd have to pay for it. But it turns out it was, and now my speeds have doubled, and I couldn't be happier. It's like getting a new
Excellent.
computer.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. My name is Peter Hartman. You're watching The Appreciationist. Thank you very much for joining me. Today, on tonight's show, we'll be talking about freedom. Everything about freedom. It's an open-ended question. We want to hear what freedom means to you. But before we get to that, let's introduce the people that are in the room here today. Who do we have here? Ladies first.
Well, it's a little bit dark, I see, but my name's Joanne, and I'm currently living in Welland. Right now I'm in Niagara Falls, but yeah, I've been following the law of attraction for about a year or so, and I've been really enjoying it, so that's about it for me.
Thank you very much for coming, Joanne. Just so you know, the reason why you're dark there is because you're brighter behind you. So
yeah, I'm wondering if I can close the blinds. Oops, sorry.
It may be the lamp that's more than the blinds. I don't know if you're able to move over to the left, but I'll just keep talking so Joanne's butt doesn't appear on the screen.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think it is. Let's
Okay.
see. Hang on. Yeah, it's a little better. I mean, I don't know. I can still see the light behind you, but I think if you close that, then you're going to really be in the dark. But it looks fine to me.
I wonder if I could go somewhere else.
Oh, no, it's perfectly fine. All right, well, thank you for joining us, Joanne.
Thank you.
And the gentleman in the room. If he's still there, I don't know if it's him or if he's just doing a very good miming sort of living style.
Yeah, he's pretending he's a model.
Yeah, I think I'll be back.
I was gonna say dummy, but
you went with the nicer route.
Okay,
Okay,
he's gone now.
I think he'll. Okay. If we had somebody else introduce that, I'd do that. But we'll just wait for him to be a
I'm
little
sure he'll
patient.
be back
If
soon.
you're watching this later on YouTube, you can edit it out. And I'll skip ahead. Maybe he was disconnected altogether.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look.
It says he left it in the group chat. Oh, here he comes.
Oh, no, he's back.
Hey, sorry I missed you.
No worries. We'll just edit that part out. Yeah, so I was just thanking Joanne for being here. You want to introduce yourself?
My name is Lee Weiser. I got a website, leadershiptofreedom.com. I am actually really excited about today just because freedom is one of my favorite subjects, if not the favorite. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Very cool.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much for being here, you guys. It's wonderful. I wasn't sure anybody was going to be here. I didn't see many RSVPs, so I'm really glad that I'm not talking into the void here. I mean, I was prepared to do that, but I'm really glad that you guys are here. Thank you for. And of course, my name is Peter Hartman, and I teach the law of attraction. We do the show called The Appreciationist, and what it is, it's actually more of an excuse to come together, especially people who are not in the Montreal area, and to really talk and to share and to connect as a point of focus, to remind ourselves that we can find joy in our experience, and we call that joy appreciation. Appreciation is not only, realizing the good qualities of a person or a thing, but it's also enjoying it. It's really, allowing yourself to feel the joy, the satisfaction from that level of focus. So we come together in Appreciationist, and one of the things we do is that we have a segment called a moment of appreciation, where we share a moment of appreciation that happened in the past week or so. And I don't know if somebody wants to volunteer, but do you guys have a moment of appreciation to share?
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Actually, both of you know. I told Lee before, and I told you yesterday. I found a job. I'm so happy. I couldn't be more happy.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, that's my moment of appreciation.
Yeah, that's a good one. Being off work is one thing, and then getting a job again, it's like very satisfying. You can,
Oh yes.
it can clear your head. It's something that you think about all the time, right? And so
Constantly. constantly. That's all I've been doing all winter is looking for a job. So I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy. So I start Monday.
Yeah. Well, good, good. And I know we won't name where you'll be working, but I think it's at a hotel. And
Yeah.
you know, I can't say that I won't try and you know, strong arm you for a little bit of goodies, some
Well,
perks. I don't know.
if you and Sam can come down, I will definitely try.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Joanne.
Thank you.
Lee, how about you? Moment of
I
appreciation.
got two, actually. I was only going to have one, but because of the weather today, I've got two. It is pouring rain outside, so I really appreciate the technology that we have to be able to do these meetups online, so I don't actually have to go travel anywhere and be outside in the rain.
Yes.
You and me both with it.
And I also appreciate the meetup that we did last Sunday, talking about purpose again for the second time for everybody who didn't have a chance to see it the first time. And I'm really happy with the way things went. Just the fact that I had a chance to actually speak more on my own as opposed to using other stuff and get that practice in. I really appreciate that opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. Very good moment of appreciation. I mean, I was there and you did a wonderful job. I really liked being able to listen to your speaking style, listen to how you present information, watching how people get engaged. You know, I can tell you when the first few minutes, I could feel sort of the quiet in the room, and I wasn't sure what that quiet meant, but it didn't mean that people weren't happy. It meant that they were getting warmed up, and certainly after we got warmed up near the end, even after the end, people were still milling about, talking, and not wanting to leave. That's always a good sign that things went well, when people don't just scurry out and run away, or they stay to talk to the person who spoke and things like that. You did an excellent job, and that's one of my moments of appreciation, if I'll just jump onto your bandwagon there. I was sitting down in that room, and I realized how satisfied I felt. You know, I work really hard to create a group, to create a platform, an environment where people can come together and share ideas. And, you know, we talked about the law of attraction, which is sort of, you know, some people, it's kind of a metaphysical sort of idea. And I know, Lee, despite your, you know, you have philosophical leanings, you're really able to think on those levels, but you're also a very practical person. You're a very logical person. And I was very curious to see how a group that is sort of metaphysically oriented would take to something like that. And they took to it like moss to a flame. It was really good. Both events were a little different, but great turnout, great excitement, and I felt great sitting there. And all I had to do was just chime in a bit every now and then to participate, keep things going, and I felt spoiled. You know, I felt like luxury. I'm at a meetup that I helped organize, and I don't have to talk. It's great. And speaking about the meetups that I don't have to speak at, another moment of appreciation. I'm sitting down at my house. Actually, I wasn't at my house. I was with my girlfriend, and Josie Maria, who is a moderator for a group, she's leading a group discussion at the Chai Tea Lounge downtown. And I'm sitting there, and I'm hoping that it goes well. I'm hoping that everything is fine. And I'm just sensing the satisfaction of a meetup going on out there without me having to be there. And then I see all these comments popping up on the meetup. I see these comments popping up. Oh, it was a wonderful time. It was very energizing, very exciting. Comment after comment. I can tell you that after maybe the 5th comment or so, I felt a little bit jealous. No, not really.
I was wondering about that.
I was like, I should be there. But
they don't need me anymore.
No, but that's a wonderful feeling. It must be the same feeling or a similar feeling to when parents realize that their kids can go off on their own where you don't have to worry about it anymore. And so
exactly.
These community discussions, they're sort of like my baby, and then full grown, and now it's taken on a life of its own. And
yeah.
I want to encourage more and more people to participate, the moderators, and to do community discussions, because I really want a city filled with people who are thinking about these things on a regular basis, thinking about questions like freedom, or what is love, or what does it mean to improve yourself, or what does the law of attraction mean, or anything like that. I just love the fact that people are coming together, and instead of sort of complaining or being annoyed or irritated by the world, that they're engaged in these conversations. And I really feel that people leave better than when they came in. Not better because of the information that they get, but better because they've activated their will, and now they're feeling the satisfaction of that action. So I know Lee's probably frozen there. He's frozen, isn't he?
Am I?
Oh,
I can hear
no,
you.
I see you there. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I wanted to share that moment of appreciation.
Just
For
delayed.
some reason, I thought it was frozen, but it's
Oh.
not. It was just
There's a
me.
lag for sure.
Okay, cool. I also had another moment of appreciation. I said I wasn't at the meetup. I was with my girlfriend, but we were actually at her sister's place with her boyfriend, and we had dinner and games, and it was a lot of fun. I rarely do things like that. Just sitting down with a very small. We're four of us, and talking and really getting to know people and getting closer and getting connected, sharing ideas, and and even picking on each other. And of course, with a few drinks. They brought me some rum from Cuba from their vacation, and we were able to enjoy that. So that was a lot of fun. I can't tell you how great it was. I even walked. We walked back late at night. It was past midnight, and we were walking in the rain. And Sam and I were still having fun on the walk home. We could have taken the bus to get home, but we decided, oh, let's just enjoy the walk in the rain, and it was a really fun
Very
night.
nice. That's great.
Dinner with friends. There we go. So you guys are here, and you guys have shared your moment of appreciation, and I really thank you guys for doing that. It's really the most important thing of what we do here. But the second most important thing we do, I think, is a joke of the week. Let's get to it.
What are they this week? I forget.
So I don't know if I rewatched the last episode, and I couldn't see if we had picked a word for this week. But freedom was such a good word that I decided to go with that. And since that's our topic for today, I don't know if it's a little too bright and you can't see.
Very bright.
Oh, there we go.
That's better.
And the other one is integrity.
Okay,
So integrity has been waiting for many weeks, and freedom today. What do you guys want?
you have been saying integrity has been the good joke for so long that I was gonna say that, but now you put this word freedom in there. What are you doing to me?
I know my audience. That's what I'm doing.
We're never gonna hear integrity.
No. Okay, so Lee's voting for freedom.
I'll go with freedom.
Are you voting against freedom or for freedom? Say that again, Joanne.
I said I would. Well, I thought Lee wanted freedom, so I said I'll go with freedom too. Lee did.
Okay, yes, I'm pretty sure Lee wants freedom.
Okay.
I'm not voting against integrity. I am voting for freedom.
Okay. I'll go with you.
That's right. Okay, well, look, integrity is taking another back seat. You know, I'm just going to take a second to read it because, oh, thanks. I got to enjoy the integrity laugh there. Okay, freedom. You guys want to hear the freedom joke?
Sure.
You guys ready?
Yep.
So I've been told that that the way I read jokes has a lot to do with how they feel. So I'm going to try my best here.
How they come across.
Yeah, right. I'm not exactly Johnny Carson or David Letterman. Why don't you ever see hippopotamus hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Because they're really good at it.
Hippopotamus hiding in trees because they're really good at it.
Okay, that took me a bit, but that okay.
You lost me. I don't get it at all.
Of course, hippopotamus don't hide in trees, but the person is saying the reason you don't see them hiding in trees is not because they're not there, but because they're really good at it.
Duh. Okay.
Weak. Okay,
That's pretty bad. I know. I'm not good at jokes either, so.
All right, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We had dinner with a comedian last night, and he was way better at jokes than all of us.
Oh yeah.
It's really fun. But you know what? Somebody has to tell the bad jokes out there, and I take that mantle. I take that crown. Look, we won't keep you guys for too long tonight. I want to get to the segment called "What a Great Idea." Now, "What a Great Idea" is a segment where I point you towards an idea. It could be a product, a service, a person, just an idea out there that I think would benefit from your attention. You see, whatever we give our attention to becomes more a part of our experience. And the more we give our attention to ideas that inspire us, that encourage us, that uplift us, that connect us, the more they become a part of our experience. And so I want to talk to you today about, relative to the subject of freedom, David Eagleman's philosophy of Possibilianism. Have you guys ever heard of David Eagleman or his philosophy about Possibilianism?
No, I can't say that I have.
It's a mouthful. I had to practice saying possibilianism many times before the show.
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I don't know the second part of what you just said.
Well, David Eagleman, he wrote a book called Incognito, which is how the mind works. He's a neuroscientist. He studies the brain and how the mind works. And we've talked about him a few times. I really love David Eagleman because he has a very sort of bright mind, and he's very open-minded about things. And he is exploring a frontier of science that is actually relatively new. You know, we all understand and know the word neuroscience, but it's fairly new that we have the technology to look into the brain and see what's going on. And so he does a lot of things. But he gave a talk. I'm just going to get the exact name of the talk. Actually, I don't have it here, but it's going to be on our Facebook page right at 7:30. In about 7 minutes, it'll be posted there. And you can check out that video. It's about 20 minutes, and he talks about his philosophy about embracing ideas. He says instead of being closed-minded and narrow and saying we're going to only pick one idea and go with this, one hypothesis or a group of similar hypotheses, he says let's just accept the sphere of possibilities and let's just engage in exercise of eliminating possibilities that we're sure of or that we can be sure of. So instead of saying that, he says, for example, if you say that you're an atheist, that's a very sort of strict definition, whereas there could very well be a definition of God, for example, that an atheist might agree with. And so he doesn't want us to be limited in our ideas, but he wants us to accept the sphere of possibilities and to engage with them, start eliminating possibilities until we create a better and better picture. Because we will always be living in a world where there's far more that we don't know than that we do know, that which we do know. And so let's not engage in this battle of who's right and wrong. Let's just accept the possibilities as they are, and we can eliminate the ones that don't suit us. And that's where the idea of possibilianism came about. And when he gave his talk, afterwards he was inundated by messages, emails, people adopting this philosophy, changing their Facebook status to embrace possibilianism. It really caught fire. And so one of the reasons I like possibilianism is the same reason I like the law of attraction. It allows me to believe the most amount of things without being restrictive. Right? It doesn't mean that you can't say, I don't agree with this, or this is not for me. It means that you're not insisting that everybody sort of see it the same way, and you're allowing a sphere of possibilities, which allows you the most freedom of action.
I guess in like layman's terms, you could say like anything's possible?
Well, yes, that's right. Anything is possible, but then we can't ignore the fact that after we've examined something, we can sort of eliminate that possibility, right? So it used to be possible that the Earth was flat and the center of the universe.
Right. Yeah.
But, and so there's no need to ridicule people for that. All we have to do is demonstrate how that may or may not be true. And then once we accept it's true, then we can eliminate that from the sphere of possibilities. And so if I say anything is possible, well, it's not possible that the Earth is flat, right? It's not possible that the Earth is the center of the universe. But but there's no shame in saying that it's not possible after it's been examined, after you've sort of looked at it. But people who sort of categorically dismiss things because it falls under some category, that's the type of narrow thinking that prevents the purpose of science. And the purpose of science is to ask questions, any questions, and to examine it. Nothing is off limits. It's not supposed to be that way. But what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that? Or what do you think about this idea of freedom? What is freedom to you?
I definitely like that type of thinking, actually, and I wish so many more people embraced it. And you know, you can actually use that type of thinking to get a better understanding of freedom for most people, because there's different types of freedom. Like to me personally, I think freedom is about having the freedom to do whatever we want, provided we're not infringing on other people's freedoms. Like, I don't believe in like this anarchy thing where you can do whatever you want no matter who you harm and all that kind of stuff, because that's not really freedom. You might have freedom to do what you want, but now other people are suffering because they don't have freedom.
That's right.
Where I believe in freedom for all. Basically, any they're not infringing. And
I lost you.
Yeah,
freedoms, but they all go together.
You cut out there, so I want you to repeat what you're saying because it's very important. But maybe we'll just give it a second for the connection.
All right.
No worries. We'll just give it a second for the connection to buffer itself.
What was the last thing that...
Yeah, it's it's still cutting out. So
Yeah.
I can tell you the last thing I heard, but you're making very good points, and we're certainly going to come back to Lee. I don't know if maybe you
Yeah, I
can.
got like a super strong connection now.
I don't know. I hear the beginning of your phrase, and then not the end of it.
Okay, I'll try again. I have a strong connection. I don't know what it is now. It must just be something else. Actually, there's a strong connection with my router, not necessarily with the internet. So, Freotron. So, I believe that freedom is having the freedom to do whatever you want to do, provided you're not infringing upon somebody else's freedom. Like you're not actually hurting anybody. And there's different things that go into that. There's different types of freedom that all go into one. Like you have religious freedom, where you should be free to believe whatever you want to believe. And I guess that even goes beyond religious, but that's usually what it tends to go down to. Like nobody can tell you what to believe. You have economic freedom, meaning that you should be free to do what you want with your money, that nobody can come rob you and then spend the money as they see fit if it was yours. And then you have personal freedom, which is the idea of being able to do what you want to do. Like nobody's stopping you from actually going and doing something. Like if you want to go, like freedom of speech would be part of that personal freedom, for instance. And all of those going together to be like actual full freedom. You need all three to actually be free. I don't know if that went through or not.
That came through loud and clear without any problems. That was really good. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly it. Or at least that's how I see it. Joanne, how do you see freedom? What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom to me is the ability to do anything that you want, that you can afford to be able to do without hurting anybody else, without infringing on anybody else's rights. And that's the way I look at freedom. And to enjoy life and not to be told, we live in a democracy. I don't want to live in a dictatorship, that would not be freedom to me. And that's the way I look at it.
That's very good. Yeah, I agree. It's this freedom. It's this ability to do what you want to do.
Right.
And it can get a little muddy, especially when you're talking about money or things like that. But really, when we're talking about the sense of freedom, we're talking about this feeling of being unrestrained, right? To do something as much as you are. Now, we can take that to mean, some people can take that to mean I should be able to do everything, meaning, the government should give me money if I don't have enough money to eat, for example. But I think, to me, freedom is not necessarily that you're able to do anything, but that you're not limited to your own potential. You understand what I mean? There are some people who think they take freedom to a degree where they say, well, I should be able to get what I want, and you have a lot, so let me take from you to make me as free as you are. But in so doing, you become less free, and they become less free. Even though you might be dividing the pie, even though you might be, taking from one, you're giving to the other, but taking from someone who has a lot, you know what I mean? So to me, freedom is not about necessarily what you can do, but that you're not limited in what you attempt to do. So you might try and start a business, and I don't think it's anybody's job to say, well, let's say, these group of people, they should have an easier time creating businesses because we want to make it easier for them or because it's hard for them. I think freedom is the combination of responsibility and ability. It's not only the capability of doing something, but you take ownership and you take the blame for it if it doesn't go well. That's sort of freedom. And so I see kids, for example, my nephew, my sister's son, he was 4 when I last saw him, and he was outside and he wants to be able to play out in the street. Okay, he loves cars, and I don't know if it's because he loves cars, but he loves being in the street. And maybe it's because he's told that he can't do it, but there he is in the street. And part of me accepts that it's of course our job to protect him. It's our job to keep him safe. But another part of me says he has the freedom to do what he wants to do. He has the freedom to be where he wants to be, even if it might endanger him. Now, what we have the freedom to do is to educate him. What we have the freedom to do is to give him awareness and understanding. We can explain things to him. But then to go and physically force someone from not doing something, that's where I find it a little difficult. And so we get all these lines about freedom and boundaries and what we should do and for the safety of others. But fundamentally, I think if we move alongside of the idea that you can do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anyone, that to me is really the truest definition of freedom. And you might say that if my nephew is playing in the street, he's endangering not himself but the drivers on the street. And on that level, I might say, okay, yes, you have the freedom to now remove him from there, just like you have the freedom of arresting criminals. You understand what I mean? But I have this one thing that you might disagree with that I want to put forward to you, and maybe Lee, you have an opinion about this.
Shoot.
I'm trying to put it in better. Okay, no, I can't put it that way. I think we will agree. So yeah, freedom is this idea of being able to do what you want without harming others. Oh, here it is. But what if you want to harm others? Isn't that a level of freedom? Shouldn't you be able to punch someone? I mean, you can deal with the consequences. There are consequences for your actions, but shouldn't you be allowed to do it? For example, if a man steals food to feed his family, we all understand it, right? We all accept, of course, that we can put him in jail for committing a crime, but we all have a personal understanding. We are sympathetic to his cause, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But if a country goes in and annexes another country, or if I go into someone's house and I steal their property not to feed my family just because I want to, isn't that a level of freedom as well? And should we denigrate those actions, not in the terms of not having consequences, but should we have a philosophy that says that person is allowed to punch that other person, that person is allowed to hurt that other person fundamentally? What do you think?
No. To me, it's no. It's an easy no, and it's for the
Yeah.
simple reason of what I believe freedom to be. Because when I said, like, as long as you're not infringing on somebody else's freedom or somebody else's rights,
Right.
it has to do with, like, it basically has to do with property rights, where just as something is yours, I should not have the right to take it because it's yours. So I should not have the right to punch you because your body is your property. If I punch you, I am damaging your property. And I don't have the right to do that because I'm now infringing on your freedoms because you have the freedom to your own property. So in the same reason, that's why it's wrong to steal, because if I steal your money, I'm infringing. Like you no longer have that money to spend as you will, so you have less freedom of choice in what you can buy. And the same way, it works the same way with your bodies, though. Like I guess it depends if you say you own your body or not, but I think everybody does, unless you're in slavery, but I can't see how you can say that's in any way, shape, or form free. So we own our own bodies. So if I punch you, am I not damaging your body?
Yes, of course.
Would that not be infringing on your freedom?
Yes, on some level that you
and
are.
And so that's where
I'm sorry.
you can't say right. If you go by the definition that I said of my belief in freedom, that you should have the freedom to do what you want as long as you're not taking away other people's freedoms. And so that's why you need that protection there with not being allowed to do that.
There has to be freedom, but there also has to be laws too.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm not actually an anarchist. I'm just somebody that believes in limited government, because government is needed for certain things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things will go into chaos. Like, there's an amazing CD that I listened to not long ago that talked about, like, it's kind of like pendulum that things go to. You have, like, chaos on one side and coercion on the other. Where if things are in chaos, that's when everybody is just doing anything and it's madness. But then if you no longer have the chaos and a lot of structure, you can get too much structure, where it then goes into coercion, where now it's the government that's telling you what to do to make sure you're not doing anything chaotic, but at the same time you have a lot less freedom there. So you need to be somewhere in the middle. And from that, there's 5 things that I think people need to really be aware of to understand freedom and how to preserve it and how to stop it from going away. There's basically 5 laws of decline, and that'll this goes to any community you're trying to build, any company you're trying to run, or any country that's in existence. You always have these 5 laws working against it, and you have to keep them in check. There's one of them in particular that's really, really important to understand, and that's the second one. These 5 laws, by the way, are put together by somebody named Orrin Woodward. He wrote a couple of books, and he's got another one coming out where he goes through this. But basically, the second law is called Bastiat's law, and it's the idea that a person will do the least amount of work possible to get the most gain. So it's the idea that if you give someone the ability to get money for something without actually doing the work, he will. So it's like that's where you have so much stuff that comes from, like our taxes is super high right now, right? And I think that's because of so many things that are being given to the people, because people will take it and people will demand it. Because if they can get something for nothing as opposed to having to work for it, they will. It's just like if you're at a job, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying that like people are working at a job, they are working there just hard enough to not get fired, while the employer is paying just enough for them to not quit. So people won't work their heart out because they don't need to. They will do the least amount of work there in order to get their pay, unless they see a possibility of getting something better by working harder.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you give the opportunity for somebody to get something for nothing, they will take it. Almost all the time. And that is also due to the first law, which is Sturgeon's law, saying that, well, you know, I don't want to go too much into the others because I'll take up the whole show. But that and you know, here's another link on that. That is a really, really good example instead of me explaining the whole thing for the next half hour on here.
Okay, cool. So
look in the comments for the link that I put there to that.
We'll post that link down below on the YouTube, on Google Plus, and on the YouTube, in the comment section on YouTube, on Google Plus, and on our Meetup page. But that's very cool. I like what you're saying, and I don't want to give you guys the impression at all that I disagree with anything that you're saying. On the practical level, on the way of living life, I believe wholeheartedly in what you're saying. We have freedom, but we also need to have a level of structure so that we don't have chaos, right?
Yes, because it would be chaos.
That's right, exactly. It would be chaos. Yeah. Now, so let me say something here, and I'm going to try to say it as efficiently as I can. I believe that until people are properly educated, I mean, I don't mean some people, but I mean all people. Until all people are properly educated, or you might say raising consciousness, you might say gaining the right information or the right experiences, but until everyone has an attitudinal change, everything that we do in order to establish structure will be coercion. Okay? So, for example, when I was 11 or so, my 3 brothers, I had 2 brothers and 1 sister moved from our country, Guyana, and they came to live with us. And we lived in the same house. I went from living with my twin brother and my mother to living with these other people. Now, the fridge was sort of a war zone. You put something in the fridge here, and it would just disappear. Somebody would take it. So a brother would steal it, a sister would drink it, and all of a sudden you had this no control over the fridge, and people started putting rules and guidelines about how to use the fridge. I used to like having ice, and so I used to make huge batches of ice and save them in a big bowl, and then everybody else could use the ice trays, and I could use the bowl. And that was my way of doing the bowl. Or if we bought soda, I would just take the soda and bring it down to my room so nobody else could take it, and I had to do all these things. But for a lot of other things, what we did was just mutual respect. It's respect for each other that caused us to behave in a certain way. So the fridge might be a war zone, but I never walked into someone's room just because I wanted to be in the room. I didn't just sit down in the living room and change the channel on the TV while they're watching the TV. I didn't just go to the stereo and change the song while they were listening to the song, because we had this sort of respect, that caused us to behave properly on a level way beyond and more impactful than coercion, than force, than rules. Now, I believe that we've never really been free, and the day that we are free won't be the day that we've done all the laws and regulations perfectly in order, but it'll be the day where people themselves are self-regulated. Self-regulated. See, your body has all these cells and all these bacteria that live in there in this whole ecosystem, and they're guided not based on laws. They're guided based on self-interest. Each cell is trying to do what's best for itself, and in so doing, it behaves in a way that is proper for the whole. Now, what we have in our society, I feel, is a lot of people, it might be because of altruism, it might be because of religion that makes you feel like you should be selfless, self-sacrificing, but we have people who are not living to improve themselves or to better themselves, but for other people. For all these good reasons, they're going to help other people. That's how we get government, that's how we get whatever it is. And eventually, despite good intentions, that system will collapse. And one of the reasons that I like Ron Paul, for example, we talked about Ron Paul in the pre-show. He's an American, he was an American congressman. He's also a doctor. He ran for president on the platform of libertarianism in the Republican Party. And he says if he was elected president and he couldn't do any of the changes he wanted to do because the hearts and minds of the people weren't changed. It really comes down to not what you do, but what people believe about what is being done. And I believe you can live under a dictatorship, a monarchy, you can live under a democracy. I believe you can live under any system of government as long as the people are educated and engaged towards their own well-being, in so doing bolstering the whole, then it would work. Because there were sometimes people had kings and it worked very well, and there were sometimes people had democracy and it didn't work well at all. And so I don't think the system matters as much as the attitude. So when I'm playing devil's advocate with you guys, when I'm asking you about freedom when it comes to harming someone else, I don't mean to say that we should harm other people. But I don't think we can stop people from punching another person or killing another person because of rules. I think the only way we're going to be able to stop them is that they themselves realize the absurdity of hurting another person. And the more we can make that clear, the more people will be self-directed and self-regulated. And on that level, I believe that is the truest version of freedom. What we're talking about is the practical version because we haven't set up that system, right? We haven't set up the system so that everybody's educated, everybody knows, not only educated in terms of information, but how to treat other people, how people feel inside, their value, their self-esteem, their self-worth. We haven't gotten that, so we can't really have freedom yet because we have to coerce people. But true freedom to me is this philosophy that says, even though you cut me off in traffic, even though you punch me in the face, and I don't like it, and I believe there should be consequences, my spirit tells me you are still free to do that. Just like I say to an ex-girlfriend, you are free to break my heart. Even though I don't like it, even though there might be consequences, you're free to break my heart. I don't want you to. I really don't want you to, but you're free to do it. You're free to harm me, but I will do everything in my power to encourage you not to do that, not by forcing you with rules or contracts, but by appealing to your self-esteem, your self-worth, and the true value to yourself. That's what I'm talking about in terms of freedom.
Well said.
No, I totally hear that. Like, I don't think, like, I do think that we need certain forms of government where some, like, you cannot have freedom under certain kinds. And to be fair, I don't think you can have true freedom under, like, a full democracy either. Just because democracy is basically the mob rules, and if the mob is following Bastiat's law where they all want something for nothing, then it's going to collapse.
Okay.
But to be fair, the only way you're actually going to get freedom is you need the right type of government in place, but the only way you do that is exactly like you said, we have to educate the people. That's why I do what I do, is I believe that if we get enough people educated, because like you know, we are in a democracy, whatever type of democracy we're in, like it is still, I kind of lean towards the side of a republic, like the way the United States used to be, not the way it is now, where they actually had a good, decent form of government before it all got corrupted. But that was because our constitution wasn't good enough to stop everything from happening. Actually, not only that, but I think the main reason is because people weren't actually educated anymore. They didn't have the knowledge. Like, nobody even knew what was in there. Nobody knows what's going wrong because nobody pays attention to any of that. But if we get enough people educated on the true principles of what freedom is and what it takes to keep and why it's so important, then we'll start to change things. Because you got to change the thinking of the society before you get them to actually vote in a way that will actually be best for them. Where right now they're voting in such a way that is not best for them, but best for what they're told is best for them.
That's right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Their desire to control things on one level or another, even with the best intentions, will always lead to some sort of lopsided disequilibrium, and then a correction needs to be made. And so I really feel like when people talk about raising consciousness, or about a period of enlightenment, or about even a government that works, I think what they're talking about is the same thing. You have to really connect to the fundamental nature of human beings, meaning their hearts, their minds, the way they think, their own self-interest. And if you empower the individual to take care of themselves, if you create an environment where an individual can express themselves, meaning they can not only say what they want to say or wear what they want to wear, behave in the way they want to behave, so long as they don't hurt other people, but they are also feeling, they feel, they have a sense of purpose, a sense of worth, then I think you will find selfish people with their selfish actions will actually improve the world, right? When an inventor is sitting in his garage and he's obsessing over trying to create a fission nuclear reactor, well, he's being very selfish. He's not caring. He's not trying to feed kids in Africa. He's trying to work on what he's doing. But what he's doing is actually an immense service to the world.
Right.
In the meetup that we had, Lee, I mentioned this, or it came up rather. If you're not following your passion in life, if you're not following what really sets you on fire and gets you going, then I actually believe, no judgment, I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but I actually believe that you're doing a disservice to the world. More so than if you don't recycle. More so than if you don't work and you get welfare your whole life. Who cares? If you're not following your passion, then you're actually contributing to a fundamental skew in the patterns of human beings and their own well-being. And so I've actually noticed people who stand up and say, be more selfish, care more about yourself on whatever level, they're often criticized, right? Ron Paul was criticized, but there's other people who are criticized for this, because the mentality we've grown up in is sort of this spiritual, sort of humble, self-sacrificing, do for others before you do for yourself. And we forget that even Jesus in the Bible was saying, before you help your brother, you take the mote out of your eye, right? You take the speck out of your eye before you take the speck out of your brother's eye. And the genius in that, I feel, is like, you will never be done taking the specks out of your eye. You will never be done improving yourself. And when you're focusing on yourself, then you're not in everybody else's business. You know what I mean? You're not really up in people's being nosy, trying to get them to behave in a certain way to make you feel better, because you recognize it's your own responsibility for making yourself feel better and improving your life. Anyway, this topic about freedom is really vast, and in fact, I love the topic so much, just like you, Lee, that I'm actually going to keep it the same for next week. So next week it'll still be freedom, and we'll talk about it on different levels if we need to. We can talk about it on the metaphysical level. We've been talking about it sort of economically and with government, but there's all kinds of levels that we can talk about freedom.
Cool.
Okay, look, I won't keep you guys for too long because it's already done. I want to say a special thank you to Lee for doing the Discover Your Purpose meetup. I'm looking forward to the others that you can do. We're trying to check out dates for that. I really appreciate that you did that. Josie DeMaria, she's a moderator for our group. This is not her first group discussion, but she did so well. I was really glad that, Josie, that you really went out there and did that. I feel such warmth in my heart for you. I know everything that I see about you and that I say about you is true, and I can see it validated in the comments from other people. I really appreciate that. Lee, thank you for sharing your moment of appreciation. Joanne, I'm really glad that you finally are able to transition to something else. It's really going to be a lot of fun.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to have to sneak over there to Niagara Falls real soon, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Before I let you go, is there anything else left to say?
Well, I got my quote that I say every week.
Please.
This time, being along the lines of freedom, goes a little more on the economic side. Governments have done a wonderful PR job. They call us taxpayers, not victims.
True.
That's pretty good.
I agree with that. That I understood.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's a lot of fun, you guys. If you're watching this on our YouTube page, please comment, share, participate with us next week. We have a pre-show at 6:45. You can come test out your camera, see how it works, and participate in the show next week at 7 p.m. The Appreciationist. You can find us on our YouTube page. You can find us on lawofattraction.ca, and we have a new website called happyforachange.com. happyforachange.com, a platform where we're trying to engage with self-improvement and social change through positive mindsets. I want to thank you guys one more time for participating. Take care, you guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Take care.
Bye.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I didn't know anybody was going to show up today, but they did. I really hope that you can participate with us next time. If you don't want to be on camera, you can just come on with your voice. But even if you don't come on with your voice or your camera, you can just participate live with us next Wednesday, 7 p.m. My name is Peter Hartman, and you've been watching The Appreciationist. Thank you.